Alright YouTube, what's going on? It's Mesa Fail back at it with some Destiny 2. In this video, we're going to go over some new juicy details regarding exploration and things to do within Destiny from a PvE perspective. Bungie is opening up a whole new door to us in terms of things to do besides just the typical PvE stuff. Story, campaign, raids. When it comes to the new destinations that we're going to, there's going to be tons of stuff to do. Now, they did touch on a lot of the stuff in the reveal last week, but there's a new interview with Steve Cotton where we get some more details. Now, this interview was published 2 days ago on Glixel.com, and a big thank you to @P3T3TT. I'm going to link his Twitter in the description. He tweeted me, 100% worth the time to read. And boy, you were right, good sir. Lots of juicy stuff in here that was not revealed. So without further ado, let's jump into the nuggets of this article. I'm going to link the article in the description if you want to read at your leisure, but let's just jump into it. So as we know already from last week, well, we're going to have our usual, we're going to have our patrols, we're going to have our new public events and things like that. But he also mentioned adventures, and actually he goes, I don't think I did them enough justice. They're actually 10 to 15 minute long missions with a narrative and dialogue, and they take you to new places and they do new things, and then he goes, new mechanics. Then he talks a little bit more about the lost sectors, and I can't help but think when I saw that image on screen, I'm just envisioning these things might be what are from Horizon Zero Dawn. We had these things called cauldrons in Horizon Zero Dawn. If you didn't know, I love that game. I couldn't get enough of it. But you would find these cauldrons and then you'd have to go and explore them and figure them out. And at the end, you would gain an ability to then hack one of those big robot dinosaurs. But let's read this verbatim. He goes, there's lost sectors, which are like dungeons where occasionally, as you're wandering around the world, you will see a symbol etched on some wall and you know you're close to an entrance of some kind. Then you get to go, no matter what activity you're on, you can just go into the lost sector, go find a boss, kill it, and get some sweet treasure. Then also he talks about how some of the NPCs and folks that we're going to meet along our journeys are going to mark stuff on our map to go find. Also reminds me of Horizon Zero Dawn. I know I'm not trying to compare it to Horizon Zero Dawn. I know this is nothing new, but if for something like this to come to Destiny, I'm ultra excited. I've always said I've wanted more open world, more MMO, more exploration, more of this type of stuff. So Steve goes on to say, another big thing we say a lot is he wanted to be easy to find the fun. On the map, we control how much we want to expose to you, but the characters that you're going to meet in the world, they basically will mark the map for you with things, as they decide how much they want to show you. They'll give you adventures to go on and say, hey, here's a couple of different adventures that I need you to do, or hey, there's some lost sector locations that I know about. They pop up on your map. You will still have to find them. You still have to use your map to navigate and find where they are. Then, when you get to the general area, you will have to find how to get in there. Patrols, those beacons are still all over the place. Those aren't on the map. You just find them. You just see those. Then in the article, he's asked about how raids maybe have influenced some of the decisions he made in creating these things. Like when you see a mysterious door, you got to figure out how to get into it. And they bring up the Vault of Glass, basically. He goes, that's the philosophy behind lost sectors. You're going to see the symbol and you're going to be like, oh no, I know there's something cool here to do. Now it's going to not be a raid symbol, obviously. It's a dungeon and it's meant to be done pretty quickly. It's meant to be done as you're out in the world. So while you'll be doing things all out and about, doing patrols, public events and stuff, this is new things to find, new treasure, new loot to earn. Then he kind of compares the adventures to the lost sectors. He goes, the adventures actually have a lot of those same properties. You get to go into places much like, imagine going into the first room of the Vault of Glass for the first time, doing an adventure and building a Vex construct while you're in there and doing whatever adventure that happens to tell you to do. That's how they're going to play out. Now here's some more juicy stuff. The interviewer asked him, you mentioned that you thought you undersold the adventures a bit. He goes, I hope I didn't undersell them too much because they're out there, but yeah, they are. I wanted an opportunity to talk about them, but yeah, I believe adventures are going to be pretty fascinating for people because there's lots of content in the world for you to do whenever you want. Whether you're in the main storyline or whether you're done with the game and you want to go back and do these side quests, then he corrects himself and goes, side missions, sorry, that these NPCs give you. So we'll be meeting a lot of, we've seen some of these NPCs in some of the trailers. They're going to be basically guiding us through all these adventures. Then he's asked, what other techniques are you using to breathe life into these environments that we're going to inevitably spend a lot of time in? He goes, the NPCs are one, putting characters in a world that you can go back to and it feels like they know the place and they're telling the story of that world for you. They're helping. I think in a way, the new director works. Being able to travel between destinations makes everything feel a little bit more real. Now remember from last week, the director is different now. We don't have to go back into orbit all the time. He gives an example. It's like, let's say you're on Io. You want to go to Nessus. All you do is bring up the director and you'll see Nessus and you click on that. You see the map. You go to whatever landing zone you want. Then you click that and now you're flying there. You don't have to go back into orbit or to another planet. Now here's another interesting quote. If you're in the European dead zone and you want to go from the town where the church is to the Cabal base because you want to go run an adventure, you can go to the landing zone, just open up your map, click on it, and you'll load right into there. Or you could just take your Sparrow all the way there. I feel like just your ability to travel around the world and explore and stay in it, it's all part of the reason why it's going to feel like a different place. Now, we've had no mention whatsoever about decrypting things or the Postmaster. In fact, in the strikes and stuff we played, we didn't see any engrams whatsoever. Well, you're going to hear about that now. He goes, I don't want to oversell how much civilization there is in the different worlds, but absolutely, the tower gets destroyed and you need a place to call home for a little while. We also don't want to divide the community up when they're in that home. When you go back to this place to do things that you need to do, whether it's talk to people or decrypt things or talk to the Postmaster for whatever reason, we want that to be in the same place that everybody else is going to be. We don't want to divide those up. We thought about it, but we don't want to. We don't really like what it does to the community. He goes on to say, I know we've actually built different ones in the past with different DLCs, and we probably will continue to evolve the social spaces, but with Destiny 2 at launch, the foundation, we want to try to keep this as singular as possible. So I guess he's referring to obviously the Vestian Outpost, then we have the tower, then we have the Iron Temple. So looks like initially at launch, we're going to have one place we're going to go to, I guess, build our new camp after the tower's been destroyed. Then the interviewer asks him about the farm in the presentation. He goes, there is a farm. It's tricky to answer that question without giving away too much of the story. I can't really say, but yes, it's the farm at the beginning. So in a video I made yesterday, or was it this morning? I've made so many videos, I forget. He's asked about a little bit of story and about how the key characters, Zavala, Ikora, Kate 6, they're all spread out. And my theory is that they might each one of them have their own storyline, or each one of those will be our quests or missions to get our subclasses. But Steve's next quote might shed some light on that. He goes on to say, I don't want to give away too much of the story, but obviously each Vanguard has scattered after their home is destroyed, and you don't even know where they are when you start. Each world you go to is important to them in some sort of way, and that's why they're there. That'll become clearer when you play the story. Then check this out. He goes, Cade's story is pretty awesome. I will say that. He's always a good one, but his story is good. So is that confirmation right there that we're going to have multiple storylines? I speculated in this morning's video, like I just mentioned before, I said it could be maybe 3 storylines and then the main story with Ghaul, or maybe the 3 key characters are how we get our subclasses. I don't know. This is sounding to me like it's going to be multiple storylines going on at the same time. Then to give you more of the scope on these new worlds that we're going to, he gets asked, what's your favorite new world in Destiny 2? He goes, I like Nessus the best. You're not going to get there until later in the campaign, but it's probably my favorite. European Dead Zone's really good. It has more to do. It's the biggest by far. It's got lots of lost sectors, lots of dungeons, and lots of just hidden little nooks and things to find. Nessus is going to take you into places a lot more like what you were talking about with the Vault of Glass. They're all very different. So that's all the juicy nuggets that I wanted to talk about in this particular article, and I'm going to link it in the description, but this is a pretty cool find, and thank you so much, Mr. P3T3TT on Twitter, for sending this to me. He said it was a good read, and yes, it definitely was a good read. That's it, guys. Let me know what your thoughts and opinions are in the comment section, and hashtag made it to the end. Do me a favor, guys. Drop a like at this video, only if you see fit. Follow me on the Twitter at Mesa Sean. Check out my stream, usually and always on YouTube, and that is it. I'm out of here like Vladimir.